What's up guys, JayzTwoCents here, and I haven't done this kind of video in a while. It's just an AMA, Ask Me Anything, where I get on Twitter and I basically tell you guys, hey, ask me anything. I think it was like more of like a Reddit thing, and then we started, YouTubers, we just steal stuff and make it our own.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new More
and the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved ones, or just get them for yourself.
All right, so we had a lot of great questions on here, so I picked 12 that I thought were really good. And the first one comes to us from Psycholabis. He said, what was something that you thought you would love or you loved about having a YouTube tech channel that you hate or don't care about now? And what is something that you love that surprised you would be so nice? So the word there is a little weird. I think he's asking me what's something I love about it and what's something I don't love about it and what surprised me. That's what I'm going with anyway. I just love the fact that I get to work, obviously, with something like my hobbies. I mean, being able to turn any hobby into a job as long as you can control it in the sense of not letting it overcome your love for it, I think is a good thing. The downside is, unfortunately, there becomes a point where you become jaded, where new things no longer excite you and the companies really start to disappoint you, and just the audience can sometimes disappoint you, but the audience can also make you feel great. So it's just this constant wave of up and down and left and right, and you just sometimes don't even know what the heck's going on, which to me is kind of exciting because I don't like having things just completely scripted and planned and all that, as you guys can tell with my videos. Which is why I still love doing this. 10 years, it doesn't feel like it's been 10 years I've been doing this, and I just kind of love the uncertainty about it, if you will. So I don't know if that was exactly the answer you were looking for, but that's pretty much it. Okay, this one's a really difficult name. Mark says, I don't game, so I'm struggling to understand in which direction to go for photo editing and CAD rendering setup. Can you assist a middle-aged bloke looking to retain? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Oftentimes there's not a big difference between gaming PCs and editing/rendering PCs. Both use GPUs for their primary function. Only what you might find though is in CAD rendering, so photo editing and CAD rendering, you put a slash there. They're two completely different directions you would go for building a PC. Photo editing would be highly RAM dependent, lots of RAM. You're storing a lot of these effects, the textures, the photos themselves, especially if they're large resolutions, are all stored in RAM. Fun fact, my Ryzen rig that I have, which has a 3090 in it, has 64 gigs of RAM. I was able to completely freeze up that system in Photoshop by just for the heck of it, trying to resize an image to the largest resolution allowed. I think I tried to blow it up to something bigger than a billboard because the system just completely froze up. And we watched the RAM just go higher and higher and higher and then peg. And then we pegged the disk. So I don't know exactly what happened, but RAM is extremely important when it comes to Photoshop. Now CAD, what's gonna be important there is VRAM. VRAM is extremely important when it comes to your graphics card. Not like how many CUDA cores does it have, or is it CUDA accelerator? Because I mean, you have CUDA, you have OpenCL. There's a lot of different functions in terms of how you can have the final rendering take place. However, while you're editing and while you're creating your CAD, VRAM is very important. That's why the 3090 was such a CAD push from NVIDIA, because it has 24 gigs of VRAM. So as you can see, any gaming system though that has a graphics card with anything 8 gigabytes or over is gonna be useful, depending on the type of CAD that you're doing though, right? Because there's some programs and some CAD scenes that if you don't have 18 gigabytes or more of VRAM, you won't even be able to render out that scene, you'll just get an error. So I mean, I can't really answer that question for you directly because I don't know what kind of CAD are you doing. Photoshop, system RAM for CAD, and any sort of 3D rendering, VRAM, extremely important. Just max those out and you should be okay. Drake's other son, okay, sure. Drake's other son says, every time I see desks, they are super expensive. Right now I have 3 monitors and I would love to fit all 3 and my PC onto a desk. What desk would you recommend for that size and setup? Honestly, desks that are pre-built are often very expensive. That's why you see it over and over and over on YouTube tech channels, or even like Twitch setups or stream setups or anything featuring setups. There's a million channels out there that are doing big like setup reviews, like TechSource does it, Random Frank P does it, Hardware Connects even does it sometimes. But you'll find the same IKEA bases with like butcher block tops. Like this is the butcher block top right here from IKEA that we use as a workbench. Same thing with our other talking head set. We use these because the real estate or the square foot or square centimeter, wherever you're from, the amount of space that you can get per dollar is much higher by kind of like hacking something together yourself rather than going and buying a desk. Because oftentimes you can spend $1,000 or more on a desk that doesn't even have that much space, where you can spend 200 bucks on a top like this, and then go even to Home Depot or something and spend 300 bucks on one of their workbenches that has adjustable height, and then mounting it down on that. So we'd be talking 300, 400, 500 bucks for a decent sized desk versus something that would cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars from some official desk supplier. And then what you do is you just go to IKEA or something, you get the under desk cable management trays that you can mount under there, and then you have a place to put your power supplies or your power strips and cables and all that stuff. And we've talked about this a million times before. I think we might have to do this again, where we take a look at some of the newest stuff from IKEA and how we can hack it together to make an amazing desk. So that's always been our recommendation. Another real popular thing is to take like the Alex drawers from IKEA and then some furniture feet, and then again use the same like tabletops or butcher blocks on the top, which is exactly how my setup at home is. I put two of them together in an L shape, and then I use brackets underneath to just screw them together so they can't slide apart or separate. It's been solid. I don't have any bowing or warping. There's lots of things you can do to make your own desk. So I would not recommend buying one. I'd recommend sort of piecing one together yourself. Zach McCauley says, when you left IT as your daily job, was it hard or more of a, oh, thank God I'm out of here moment? When I moved from IT to engineering, it was a lot of both. I'm an extremely cautious person. So I continued working in IT a long ways into my YouTube career because I needed my YouTube income to exceed what I was leaving behind in IT. Because remember, when you go from working with a corporation to self-employed and or incorporating yourself, you're responsible now for your health insurance. You're responsible now for your retirement. You're responsible, obviously, for your savings and stuff, as you always are. And being like not the sole breadwinner at the time, but the primary breadwinner at home, my wife still worked, meant that I needed a nest egg. And so it wasn't a whole lot of like, oh, thank God I'm out of here, as much as it was, oh, thank God I only have one job now. Because when I was working 2 full-time / overtime jobs, it was extremely time consuming. I mean, I would work until 2:30, 3 in the morning on the YouTube stuff and then still get up at 6 in the morning and work on my IT stuff. So I was getting 2-3 hours, sometimes 4 hours of sleep a night. You guys commented on my health back then a lot because my eyes were always so bloodshot. It looked like I was hanging out with Snoop Dogg all day because my eyes literally had no white left in them because they were so sleep deprived and bloodshot. I was excited to get out the door, by the way, and working in IT. IT is a very thankless job. You only hear from people when things are falling apart and things aren't working right. You're always at fault for it, and then anytime something goes wrong, you're the one that's blamed for everything. And it's a very thankless job. Nobody ever says thank you or thank you for coming and fixing my computer, thanks for fixing QuickBooks, thanks for fixing whatever. It was, this isn't working, get over here now, and everyone's yelling at you, get over there now, and then you've got what we do called triaging, and then actually had to tell some people sometimes, hey, your problem's not a priority 1 like you think it is, you're actually priority 4, we gotta go over here, and then they're mad at you. It was a very stressful job in that you could never do it right according to the people you were supporting, which were your own employees and your own coworkers. They all treated you like crap. You know, in the office, Nick, the IT guy, people can't remember his name. They just called him loser. That's literally what it's like. So, anyone going into IT? Highly recommend.
I couldn't tell if you were sarcastic or not.
All right, so 94 says, why do you continue to do what you do given all the ups and downs? Obviously a perfect tie-in from the couple questions already in this. All right, anyway, side question for Nick. How is the 3D printing coming along? I'm 3 printers and 300 plus hours deep, all within a few months. I wonder what the math is on that. How much time per day? Anyway, and I want to know how deep you've gotten into it. Haha.
I am 2 days into this.
Give him a minute, will you? Like I said in the previous question, the ups and downs is what makes it kind of exciting. I mean, obviously there's ups, so a major up for the channel, which was a really fun wave to ride, but we knew it was going to crash, and it did. Not only did it crash, we went like underwater after all that, was during the 3000 series launch. I mean, we had a video go live at 6 a.m. and have more than 1 million hits by lunchtime. We were in the top 10 of trending on YouTube. And I think we were even number 2 trending at one point. And we were just like, what is happening? And then we released another video and it does even better. And it's like 30 series stuff was so exciting because everyone was so excited about it. And then reality set in about its availability and its scalping. And then it just came crashing down, where now we have a hard time getting anyone to engage with the channel. Which I'm gonna say something about this real quick. There's been a lot of people complaining, like hardcore, about the viewership. Viewership's down, viewership's down, viewership's down. I just want to say thanks to those that are watching our video no matter what we put out, because you guys are diehard fans of the channel, and we're always going to try and put out content we find entertaining and worth our time and your time. But right now, we're interacting with the diehards. We're interacting with the people that are here through the good and the bad. So right now, I feel like I'm talking to a more dedicated viewer base than I ever have, because of the fact that while views are down, those that are still here, those are the people that allow us to do what we're doing. Those are the people that allow us to stay in business, and you are the people that I'm highly thankful for. Not those that only watch when it benefits them and then peace out when it doesn't. I like creating a community here, and I feel those that are still here when the viewership is literally at its lowest it's ever been in the tech genre, you are the people that I'm grateful for. So the ups and the downs, that's how we deal with it. That's how I deal with it anyway. You know, when it's up, we ride the wave and it's exciting. We don't try and capitalize on that wave. We just try to ride it and then, you know, make videos that you guys will enjoy. Then when it comes crashing down, I just sort of revel in the fact that I'm now hanging out with our best friends on the channel. So Jesse says, you have a very successful business, a large family, and other commitments, hobbies, all vying for your attention. How do you balance all of these competing demands and manage your time effectively? I feel like I've answered this question before, but I don't think it was exactly worded the same. So I have to round robin. I really do. Like I just imagine my hobbies are on a lazy Susan. And it's kind of like, what do I have time for right now? When I have time to do something, sometimes it's difficult. It's like, do I want to play the guitar? Do I want to play a video game? Do I want to go outside? Do I want to maybe go somewhere? Do I want to go for a drive? Because you guys know I'm a car guy. Do I just want to sit on my ass on the couch and eat popcorn, get fat? I mean, obviously I've been doing that a lot lately, but I don't have time for all of it. So I just really have to sometimes be honest with myself and say, I want to do all these things, but what do I want to do most right now? And the problem is sometimes guilt sits in a little bit. It's like I've spent money on certain things like hobbies and whatnot, and if I'm not utilizing them, I feel like that's just a waste. But I also know that having these different hobbies is kind of what keeps me sane. Because if you always fall back on the same thing all the time to try and keep your sanity, especially when the world's all kinds of crazy and we're living in the upside down right now, that hobby can also start to become frustration. Because if you have a bad day at it, then you're mad at your hobby. You're like, what the hell? This is supposed to be my vice. I'm supposed to be relaxing doing this, and it's just making me mad. If I get in that particular mode, then I can literally just go to something else. So obviously family comes first and all that sort of stuff, but you know, it's also important that you have your me time. So it really, I try not to take on any new hobbies too if I know that I can't keep up with, like right now I've been watching a ton of hockey. I got heavily back into hockey this season, and I told my best friend, I was like, I want to play hockey. And I started thinking like, how many texts is Phil and Nick gonna get? Can't come in today, broke my leg. Probably not a good idea. So, yeah.
Just one leg today, Jay?
It's like, let's be realistic and leave some things just on the wish list. Victinez, that guy says, is there any videos you regret doing for any reasons, performance-wise, or you just didn't turn out how you wanted, etc.? Other question, what's the longest amount of time you've put into a video? Big fan, Jay. Ooh, let's start with the most amount of time. That's hard to say because there's time creating the video, there's time preparing the video, there's time planning, there's time doing the actual action we're filming. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I don't regret any of my videos because we never know how they're gonna perform. Sometimes like, we're like, oh, this video's gonna do great. And I'm like, oh, it did terrible. There's times where it's like, well, let's just do a 10-minute compilation of me taking a dump and then it gets millions of hits or something, you know? So you never really know exactly. Like right now, when we do these AMAs, I know they perform low. I know a lot of people don't watch this stuff, but every now and then one does really well. And we're kind of like, what? Was it the title? Was it the thumb? I don't know, but I still enjoy doing it because I get to interact with you guys. So I don't regret anything that we've done. Videos we spent a lot of time on. The Make-A-Wish video, that was a one-day thing, but there was a lot of prep time going into that. It was very fulfilling. Post Malone's build took a year, but that wasn't a year of work. That was most like 9.5 months of waiting for him to have a time to come and get it from us while he was on tour. Or him not answering when he's home and then he takes off on tour again and then answers me like, oh, I'm in Spain. And it's like, okay, well, okay, fine. The Scholars Collective videos that you guys have seen, there's been 3 of them so far, I think. There's a lot of work and that's a lot of behind the scenes though. Some stuff that we do takes a lot of time. Other things like this one here are very simple. They'll take a few hours to make we'll put out a video, which then allows us to work on, which gives us like that slot has been filled, so we can take some time now to work on something else without that need of like, okay, we've got Windows updates. No, okay, we've got to put out a video because of the algorithm. I don't put out videos for you guys necessarily in the sense of like, this video's got to go live today because the audience, I know you guys are going to be there. It's, I've got to go live today with something because it's been 2 or 3 days and the algorithm's going to punish me if I don't. And that's the part about YouTube that I hate, is the fact that I've got to like constantly feed this imaginary, invisible, but really exists beast, which is stupid. Just send out notifications to those people that you subscribe to YouTube and let the algorithm just whatever at that point. Just if you're subbed to a channel, you get a notification, video went live, let the viewer decide if they're gonna see it. Don't decide for them if they're gonna get notified. Jesus Christ. Alex, oh, it says ASE, but Alex, he says, what has it been like in 2021 with many tech QA issues, such as the 11th gen Intel, Gigabyte exploding PSUs, 3090 issues with New World, and many others? What has this been like with you and others giving this news a light and having recalls made? Whew, okay, we talked about this one before. When there is a product shortage, when you cannot keep something in stock, a lot of corners get cut, unfortunately, during the fulfillment process of trying to get parts to market. I feel like a lot of QA, QC corners have been cut, which isn't catching this stuff that would normally happen. And there's no coincidence here that a pandemic happened and then quality control issues went out the window. Because of the insane availability of parts, they want to get parts out as fast as possible, because as much as it sort of sucks, I mean, this is the most profitable time in tech that it's ever been, because they can't keep anything in stock. Everything's marked up and they still can't keep it in stock. There's a level of greed sort of happening here with essentially every company, because of the fact that they want to get the parts out as fast as possible. They're going to do whatever they can to make that happen. And I feel like that they're not spot checking as often as they do, or at least if it's part of the process, the manufacturer themselves is skimping and maybe the brand isn't aware of it. Because remember, EVGA, Gigabyte, NVIDIA, AMD, all these companies they put in orders with manufacturers that then create the product for them. And so obviously they are not the ones physically there putting hands on product doing the QA, QC. So the manufacturer themselves, to try and get as many orders out the door, because they have lots of customers, may not be following the best practices that need to be in place to keep things from, exploding and catching fire. It's going to continue to happen, unfortunately, until we see things somewhat normalize, which is probably not going to be for a few more years. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. What I am at least appreciative for is the fact that the PC tech space has grown so much with content creators like Steve and Linus and Hardware Unboxed and those guys that do really, really lean on the manufacturers as hard as they can to say, you guys are doing a terrible job. I mean, we do it as well, but oftentimes I'll like major issues I'll bring up because of the fact that like the catching on fire, like PSUs or the H1 and stuff like that is a big deal. But I'm often not the one catching that sort of stuff because we don't do deep dives nearly as much as we should. We do much more consumer level type how-tos and water cooling and stuff like that, which I'm perfectly okay with. I'm not gonna try and do something I'm not great at because I want to catch a viewer in that genre. If I try and do deep dives, you guys are gonna realize like I'm terrible at explaining deep dives, so I leave that to the deep dive professionals like Ian Cutress and those guys that are absolutely like the gurus that you should be following of all that sort of stuff. But I do feel appreciated in the sense that as in being a part of that genre is taken serious by the manufacturers and the brands that, hey, they're making this aware, we need to do something about it. I just wish we didn't have to make brands aware of it. I wish they were aware of it on their own and catch it before it ever makes its way to the public. That would be like a dream come true. I don't feel like it's gonna happen. David says, we heard how you, Nick, and Phil have met, but I don't think we've ever heard how you and Mrs. 2 Cents have met. Story time? Also, has she ever wanted to become more involved in tech, i.e. learning how to build a computer and getting into gaming, etc.? The last part of that question is no, absolutely not. She has zero interest in computers, zero interest in gaming, zero interest in tech. Like seriously. She's also one of those people that refuses to zero out notifications. She has something like 64,000 emails showing on her email. I'm not kidding, Phil. Phil's double face palming. I'm actually gonna call her. Can you send me a screenshot of your home screen? I need the icon number on your email. I need it for a project. Oh yeah, 55,119.
Oh my God!
Okay, so my wife and I met by, I was dating her friend. I was dating her friend who I actually met online. And while I went to pick her up for our first date, my wife, now, currently didn't know her at the time, was at this girl that I was dating's house. And of course I was picking up my date and I was like, who dat?
Wow, Jay.
No, so she was like, oh, that's my friend.
Window shopping while you're picking up a date.
She was like, that's my friend. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then she and I weren't really hitting it off. And then the girl I was dating was like, hey, you might actually, get along with my friend. And I did really well. And then the friend got really mad about it. 22 years later, here he is. So, all right, so Jarmo Puerolati. Jarmo says, what are the games on any platform from your past that you three, keep returning to, even if you have played it through so many times that you can't even count? His is Subnautica, Super Mario World, and Final Fantasy VII, and MGS3. What's MGS3?
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, Metal Gear Solid 3. So for me, it's Monkey Island. I can't tell you how many times I played that game through as a kid, and then when I discovered it on Steam, I was like, oh my God. All three of them were there. Actually, there's more than three, but anyway, they're all there. I played through them. Even Phil was like, this is so nostalgic. I even kept it in the classic mode and not the mastered mode because it just literally brought back memories as a kid. And then I showed my daughter, and she was just like, I don't get these graphics. The sound's weird. I had to explain to her what MIDI was. Phil, what's your game that you just...
It's probably Descent and then the Mass Effect trilogy, like not Andromeda.
I also played a lot of Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, way younger than you were supposed to.
I kind of go back between Mech Warrior and Titanfall.
Wow, those are really recent games.
Nick's like 12, so that's old for him.
I know, right? Okay, so Master Panda says, in which games do other two goofs on your channel run circles around you? Question mark.
Rocket League.
No, what games do you guys run circles around me?
Oh.
Rocket League. Well, no, not really.
You don't run
Jay's
circles
actually,
anymore.
Yeah, not
Circles
anymore.
around me now.
Yeah.
What games do we like?
We don't really play anything else together.
I think people just think like all day, every day, we're just like, what do you want to play? I don't know, let's play this, let's play that.
It's usually just Rocket League, but Jay's been playing so much that he's pretty much at my level now, so it's not like it's a toss-up.
I just sit there and obsess over one game and then I move on to something else. But I don't think any three of us are ever playing the same game around the same time.
And or good enough that like we're always running circles around you. Because I mean, if it was Warships, Jay would run circles around us.
Yeah.
Like in his sleep, because I can't think tactically. So.
Well, you can't think that slow.
Yeah, I can't think that's like Rocket League. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all for today's Ask Jay. I said 12 initially, and then I miscounted. There's only 11 on here. So yeah, with that, we're gonna go get out of here, guys. Thanks for your AMA. I'm gonna be continuing this build here as soon as I get the parts that I'm waiting on in. I wanna finish this up in like, pretty, right? I wanna finish this up in one more part, 2 max. But I got some neat suggestions you guys gave me to try and make this build like what I want. And that's where we're going from there. And I'm also thinking we're gonna probably get my daughter in here soon to upgrade her 2080 Ti water-cooled build, as Phil's over there mocking me.
What?
To a 3080 water-cooled because, you know, her little 7-year-old sister has a 3080 and my oldest daughter has a 2080 Ti, and I feel like, actually I feel like that's kind of fine. You know, she's always antagonizing her little sister, so her little sister can always be like, I have a better graphics card than you as I'm playing Roblox. And Fall Guys. And some new one that's like Fall Guys, only it's with fruit.